Recently, we are witnessing the decline in Bank of America's stock down to the $5, $6 level. What has happened here is very simple. The additional write-offs that the banks are taking are putting into jeopardy investors' concerns about whether or not the banks will survive at all as independent private entities. In other words, is the government going to have to nationalize the banks in order for the banks to survive? We don't think so. We don't think you're going to see the outright nationalization of companies like Citigroup and Bank of America, even though the management teams of both should be absolutely ashamed of themselves for betting so heavily on bonds is an example of outright sheer stupidity. But we believe that you still need an independent banking industry in the United States. So what you may see is investments in the banks by the government entities so large that for all intents and purposes, the federal government of the United States and its supervisors and agencies become the largest equity holders in the banks. In other words, the government and various governments, including the federal government, plus the regulators that are making investments like the Fed, these people may become the largest corporate holders of private stock in Citigroup, in Bank of America. That is the concern. We do not think we go to outright nationalization. We are still a society that was built and created on the basis of capitalism, although we witnessed over the last 10 years that uncontrolled capitalism can lead to absolute disaster. We've come this close to going into a depression in this country in which housing prices would not go down, but would collapse down to levels that people would have heart attacks. We came this close. And it is responsibility of both the Republicans and the Democrats in our federal parties to have done something about this, and they completely failed. They deregulated capitalism to such an extent. They said, guys, it's like on a highway putting up a sign saying no speed limit, driving 100, 130, 140 miles an hour, whether you're capable of doing it or not. That's what the government allowed private banks to do in this country, and it put into jeopardy our whole system. But we do not believe that we are looking at outright nationalization. For more on these topics, what we pick for stocks and so forth, come visit our website. Have a great day and have a great year investing. This will be an excellent year to make money in the market.